just gonna put myself on a limb because it's always somebody for everybody. Every black woman at least got one black man in her DMs, and you know why I say that? Because that's the one you don't want to open his. You don't want to answer. You don't want to. He's been on red for years. You know what I mean? You ain't even opening his. You never open his message. You guys call them kind of men thirsty. They may not be attractive, too thin, too whatever, but those are the men that you look for and come back and search through and be like, oh, I found my fairy tale, my son's stepdaddy. I answered the DM. Why you couldn't answer it in 2020 when you didn't have a kid, though? Because I've been writing you for 5 years. You feel me? Like that. You want to answer it now, 2025. You want to give me a chance. I've been in this inbox for 5 years. It could have been our son. You know what I mean? Because a lot of black women deal with so much bitterness that's not even it's generational, but it's also transferred. It's also programmed. They deal with so much pain that doesn't even belong to them. It's vicarious trauma. Let's be honest. Look that up. Google that word, vicarious trauma. It didn't even happen to you, but you feel like it's you. So your mama got her heart broke from Leroy at 15, Tyrone at 17. By the time your mama was 21, she probably had 5 or 6 heartbreaks. We're not even going to talk about the fact that that's your mama choices, right? Mm-hmm. But the way in which black mamas can create themselves to be like, my mama she just holding on. Mama just doing the best she can. Mama ain't bought a wig. She ain't bought no new outfit. Yeah, you know what I mean? Mama doing everything. But then you go back to mama behavior. Let me tell you about retired hoes, because I deal with a family of them. They gonna be, even no matter what, I'm not talking about no body type. I'm talking about the characteristics. They're gonna be, you gonna look at this woman's pictures from back in the day, and what you see now is gonna be vastly different from the hoe that you seen back in the day. Period. Like, let's be real. She might be in church. You know, they hoes all in the church. But what you gonna notice is that she don't care to have a man. You know why? The big secret is she already had all of them. She had enough. She's done.
But what the hell, bro?
She done been dick down. She's like, what else? You know what I mean? So she done had so many babies for so many men. Mama insides probably ain't doing right. I'm telling you.
But what the hell, bro?
They don't want to know the real. I'm not here to sugarcoat nothing. Like, you know, a lot of y'all mamas was bust downs, and it is what it is. It's the truth. You know? And that's why a black man makes them throw up to the look, because that's how many they've been ran through. A lot of y'all mamas is ran through. That's why they don't want a man no more.
Man, you know what? That's crazy that you even said that, is because it's like, what's a food that you probably used to enjoy as a kid? You ate so much of it you don't eat it anymore.
For me, it was top ramen, man. Because
okay, that's good. I was really thinking ramen just then. Yes. And then it's like, ugh, you know what I'm saying? It's the same thing. It's a lot of women have experienced their fair share of top ramen as versions of men.
Absolutely.
Because I personally think that the black men that women complain that don't want them or that they can't attract is the confident black man that'll stand on his business. Doesn't raise his voice, but tells you exactly what's wrong.
Right.
And that man is intimidating to that particular black woman. So it's just easier to go hide in church because you didn't get drafted from the club. You didn't get drafted at the prom. And the only other place where you can go get some sort of anonymity is in church with a bunch of women and a few men. Because it ain't.
Don't ever that you paying for that pastor to tell you what you want to hear. Like, let's not forget that y'all the highest tithing.
Yep, man. Look, it's a lot of moving pieces in that dynamic. Let me go to the comments real quick because we got somebody else watching. Hey, Darlene, saving the next generation is very important. Absolutely goes without saying, right? And she also says it's sad because you can sacrifice for your child and our children at home being that positive role model, and then their village, including the family, destroy all your hard work. Yeah, because like here's what I think about the village, and I'll let you clean this up if I miss anything. My thoughts is that the village is a myth. In functional times, back in the day when a village was necessary, the village was where all the orphans and widows go when the men that of those particular women and children was killed in battle, then all of the women that are widows get together and they help raise the kids that's left behind. So even then, the village was supported by, the village is a small part of a larger community. Meaning, like, you got your regular the regular part of the community where the two-parent households are for the most part, right? And then you got those that are surviving, and they have to band together and be the village because they all are going through the same thing. Well, you don't have a village if all of the widows and the single mothers and are all still having kids and then raising their daughters the same way that they was raised, to be teen parents. So, which is why I always go back to rule number 5, when it comes down to sexual discipline. And so like now, everything I just described is about a functional time period, like when things were a little bit more archaic, when the men had to go, like even when the Vikings had to go away, they had to leave, the rest of their people that tend to the lands and the properties and all of that stuff, right? Bringing that full circle now, you don't have that anymore. You just have dysfunction, and it gets captured by the entertainment, like you just talked about on the other video, like with Baddies and Zeus Network, and everything that you described when it came down to how women are moving amongst each other, and then how they processing grief and everything else too. Because if you had about 6 heartbreaks and all of them was in high school, you was already too active. You shouldn't even be that focused on a relationship. So the village gets destroyed from the inside of the house, first and foremost, because if people make up the village, then which people are going to be more likely to spend the time in the village? And it's going to be the women. So that's why the women have to really be much harder on the girls, as it sits. There's a reason why all of these shelters exist for girls, because a lot of the times these women get in competition and conflict with each other, with their own daughters, and they end up putting them out. So the village is a myth, in my opinion. What do you got to say about that?
For me, I feel like I agree with you to a certain extent, but I feel like, the village, if it's accountable, if it's really people that, it's like, that's why I sometimes always say family's who you choose. Not saying you can't choose your family, but you want to choose people whose vision for your life and your children's lives align with the mission you're trying to do. Starting off with another parent, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This is why we call courting a thing. So you get to know their mom, their dad. Guess who's coming to dinner, honey? You know what I mean? Like, we don't have this. We don't have a rites of passage in the Black neighborhood. It's just a girl coming up, mom, I'm pregnant. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Boy, if he, you know what I mean? A lot of Black boys have been stepping up in these past years, but it's never because we were in love. It's always a child of convenience, a child of love,
Yeah.
So I feel like if you really come from families, which I've seen it, that's why daddies used to choose their daughters' husbands. You know what I mean? Because you want to come from families who are going to march to one beat, one sound.
Yep.
No, not mom saying doing this and daddy say do this. You want to really align yourself with people, a village, a community, a tribe of people that really want to see success in the Black community. Because every nigga not gonna make it on the ship. There's Black peoples and there's niggas. You know what I mean? We can't be so compassionate and so naive to think that all these people are gonna be on. No, there's Black people and there's niggas. These niggas not gonna make it.
No, they're not.
They are reproducing very fast and at higher numbers than regular Black folk that's trying to be intentional, trying to find marriage and trying to find committed relationships and alignment. The niggas are going to be producing very, very fast, but it's no quality. It's quantity, it's not quality.
Yep.
But what happens is it's science, survival of the fittest. These irrational and emotional young Black boys, it's a million of them behind bars because you don't know how to act.
Mm-hmm.
Irrational young girls, it's a whole bunch of them behind bars, rising. Young Black women and Black women
get locked up,
rising. You know what I mean? Because and these children left in foster care, like I always say, if you don't buckle down and really tighten up, it's gonna be really out of control. Why do you think the unaliving of the Black mothers is becoming so prevalent?
Man, I'm glad you brought that up because it's not being discussed the way it should be discussed, and it's happening quite often.
Every week I get a story,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, back in, and it's so crazy because I'm gonna say 2015.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give you the last 10 years. When you heard a story about somebody taking their mama life, everybody knew. We didn't have to assume. Everybody across the board knew that's a white kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
White kid that didn't get their way.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have to pay attention to what's the names, because the way in which the last 10 years is that skyrocketed. So we talking about children born in 2000 and later. You know what I mean? We're talking about those children that are growing up and seeing you for what you are, and y'all thought Tupac was playing. He said one day we'll have a race of babies that'll hate y'all. Like, you thought it was a joke. Y'all thought this was just words. Like, it's truth to everything, And like you said, if you're gonna take credit for the good kids, because so many single motherhood was always like, it had a stigma in the beginning when this trend started, because it's a trend, baby mama culture, black women, and we not talking about everybody don't want to be white. We not talking about that. If a woman was a single mom, she did everything in her power to raise respectful black children, because we have doctors and lawyers from single motherhood, single parent homes, single mother homes. We have athletes. We have young black men that went on to be fathers and stay with their wives for, decades upon decades. We have young black girls that came from single mother homes that their mom say, I don't want you to be like me. I want you to go to college. I want you to find a man. And they have been married for years and years. So we know that single mothers can produce some phenomenal children. However, in 2025, we're not talking about no traditional black woman. In 2025, we're not talking about a widowed black woman. In 2025, we're not talking about the black woman who held it down while her husband went off to war. We're talking about the Sexy Red, Meg Thee Stallion, Cardi B, because y'all follow her even though y'all say she ain't black. Y'all follow her to the T. We're talking about music casting spells on the minds of mothers. Like I said last week, Cardi B don't even her own children listen to her music. This music is casting a spell on y'all. These shows are casting spells. You don't get a break from the drama. Then you log on your phone and you want to argue about the truth. So it's like all day your mind, I don't know what you're doing for a living. You could have a job, or you could just, be sitting up collecting your child support, whatever the case is. The things that you're consuming as a mom is not healthy. And it's 24/7, because Love and Hip Hop come on Monday, Baddies come on Tuesday, Bad Girls Club is Wednesday. Like, it's all week long. You know what I'm saying? So you're poisoning your own mind. You call yourself raising somebody, trying to raise somebody, trying to teach somebody what right from wrong, feeding your spirit, and wondering why you feel down and out. Wondering why you always so overwhelmed. You gotta grow up. When you choose to be a mom, it's not about you. And sometimes it's a thankless job. Sometimes your kid's gonna talk back. Sometimes you're gonna be like overwhelmed. That's just a natural emotion of a human. But if you bring children here to think that they owe you something, that they have to give you something, some kids don't even say thank you. That's the gamble you take for bringing a child here, especially when you don't give them a 2-parent household.
Man, look, I can listen to you talk all day. So we got 3 more videos to get through before we get to the second part and wrap this thing up. All right.
Okay.
Sorry. Let me tell you, Stella. So when this topic is so close and near dear to my heart, because when I told my mama I was pregnant,
this that
actually
I
I told the lady
about.
at my school, and the lady at my school called my mom and told her that I was pregnant. Mm-hmm. And when I got home, I asked her, like, okay, so like, what are we gonna do? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we gonna do? And because I had known, like, obviously abortions, adoptions, or, somebody else in the family could, take the baby. And she said, no, you're gonna keep the baby, because you can get food stamps, you can get Section 8, you can get housing, you can get Medicaid, you can get child support, and you can get taxes. And I was like, mind you, I'm only, how was I? I was 13. So I'm just sitting there looking like, girl, I don't know nothing about none of that stuff you talking about. So I gotta keep the baby. And she was like, yeah. And she said, you was grown enough to lay down and get pregnant. You gonna be grown enough to take care of the baby. And I just did not receive that well, because I just felt like, as a parent, I know it gets to a point, because I've made it to a point with my daughters. But at the same time, it's like, dang, that's your reason on why you want me to keep the baby? Like, it just didn't make no sense. It just made me, honestly, I think that was the day that I lost so much respect for my mama. Like, that was the day. Because I felt like that's all you seen for my life. That's it. That's all you seen. And I didn't respect that. And she told me she was going to help me take care of the baby, which she did not. You know, it was always get in the house, get your baby. And I'm all for responsibility. Like, I take full accountability for what I did. I did that, you know, but I have to do it alone. I didn't think I was going to have to do it by myself. And on top of that, I told you that man said he did not want this baby and all that. And she just was so hell-bent on this food stamp Section 8 and government assistance. And I didn't even get the Section 8. I didn't get the Section 8. I didn't get the child support. And looking back on it, I just was super, like, disappointed. I was super disappointed. I was super disappointed in myself at that time. Because I was like, oh, my God, like, I'm about to have a baby. Like, what am I going to do with a baby? You know what I'm saying? Nobody really explained to you what comes with having a child while you are a child. And just because you're 18 don't mean that you at a point to where you established enough to be having a child. Do whatever it is you're going to do. But also, I just be wanting people to, like, when I be seeing, like, some of my family members, they young and they having kids and so on and so forth, I say my piece and then I go on about my business. But it's just like, did your mama really explain to you what goes into having a kid?
I truly believe it's a large proportion of Black mothers that are jealous of their daughters and they don't see anything past what they've accomplished. And I'll say that again. I truly believe that there are plenty of Black mamas that don't want to see their daughters make it past anything mama ever did. That's why they sabotage them. That's why they don't teach them about how babies are made. That's why they don't teach them about sex. Everybody tell their Black daughters, don't do it. Don't bring no grandbabies home. They don't talk about birth control. Half of them even talk about the menstruation. You know what I mean? A little girl cycle. Mm-hmm. I remember, like, it was always a open conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of mamas, that's why when they see their daughter first love, what do they say? Oh, you being fast. Like, you know what I mean? You being fast. They don't want to see their daughters loved on. It's a lot of bitterness. It's a lot of Black moms that their baby girls first bully. You know what I mean? They sexualize their daughters and then wonder how they're a grandma when their child is 13. They fall out with their daughters. A lot of young women I spoke to say, you know, like, my mom and my grandmother pushed my baby father away, you know? Not letting them be active, not trusting me, especially when they have baby girls. So many Black and so many Black young women and, you know, generational have been sexually assaulted that they put that fear on the girl. You better not send them over there to his or her daddy. It's always the girl. You better not send her over there to her daddy house. You know what I mean? You don't know what kind of folk he got. When it's the boy, it's like, oh, he's not a good enough role model. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's always an excuse why a child can't know their daddy and his people and their people. It's their people. You know what I mean? It's always an excuse. And a lot of Black women, they didn't learn how to be mothers. They learn how to perform under pressure. They're in survival mode. And all it takes to get out of survival mode is having a conversation with your child's father saying, okay, you know, I do need your help. But that's, like I said, so many Black mothers wait till their child is in danger, in trouble. Some give them to the cemetery. Some give them to the prison before they call the dad and say, I need your help, you know? Mm-hmm. They don't. When a Black mama is embarrassed, then she realizes that she's in over her head. But so many will parent and let their kids lack. Let their kids go to school unkempt. Let their kids go to school embarrassed. Or even if she one of them boss chicks, let me not leave y'all out, the boss chick. It's always the aesthetics of a Black child. It's never, you're not pouring nothing in it. You're just dressing them up. Like I said, your baby. My kids stay laid. They stay with the best of the best. The best of the best is a good father. Because part of being a good mom is choosing a good father. That's a part of being a good parent.
Man, come on.
That's what you want to realize. You have the choice. It's in your hand. And it's okay to say, I was very much in lust. When we have those conversations with our young girls, what's lust? Then we could open up those. We don't want to have the conversation because no Black woman wants to be embarrassed about what she's done. Because one thing I know, like I said, I'm in so many group chats. Our friends and our sisters and the women that we hold dear to us, they know all our sins. But to admit those sins to our children, that's where we'll have the most embarrassment, because now they just disgusted by you. They're not afraid of you no more. They don't care about what you're saying no more. They're disgusted by you and they have no respect. And I think a lot of black mamas, they don't understand that reckoning day is coming. You know what I mean? Because your kids, they going to find out. So many black kids doing their own 23andMe ancestry test, finding their kinfolk on Facebook. Your kids find out the truth for their own. You don't got to say anything, because these kids, one thing about them, they're a little smarter than you give them credit for. They own family history. They tracing it back. And when they realize, dang, it's so close. When they realize my dad had this many children, but mama not a victim. Mama not a victim. The only victims is the children, the byproducts of these lustful relationships and these low functioning relationships. The only victims are your black children. Yep. You're not a victim. You are a co-conspirator. You know what I mean?
You're an accomplice.
You're an accomplice. You're not even an accessory. You deserve the same amount of time. And I know it sounds harsh, and I know it sounds hard to hear. But the only reason it sounds harsh and hard to hear is because you haven't heard it. It hasn't been spit to you like this. Every time you make a mistake or you make an intentional decision that you know is going to set you back in life 5 years by laying with this man, because the person you lay with, they're either going to set you back or they're going to propel you forward. Ain't no in-betweens. You know that laying with this person and having his baby, what did she say? I didn't finish school till my son was six. You knew that laying with that man, you wasn't going to finish school. You knew that.
Yeah.
So the people that you surround yourself with, it says a lot about you. You guys can always disrespect and discount and discredit a black man and say he this, that, and the third, but don't ever forget that was the equal enough for you to bring life into the world for him. Don't ever forget that. You know what I mean? He ain't no better than you.
You be right on time, man. Because I keep saying nobody can lay down with someone that's better than them.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can give me all of this specific guidance, then you got to be able to take it.
Right.
Just like this. Come on now, video.
But black men can't check us. We could tell a black man he got to go to therapy. We could tell a black man he lazy. He needs to help around the house. But your black man can't get you up at 6 a.m. and be like, we doing a workout?
Mm.
Your black man can't say, hey, babe, when you on the phone with your family, you're gossiping a lot. And then when you get off the phone with them, it's negativity in this household. Is there a way you can participate in your family stuff that doesn't hinder our relationship? You're treating me like your sister's baby father, and it hurts me every time you get off the phone with her. Like, I don't understand. Why is it that a partnership, when it comes to betterment, is only us to them when it can't be them to us?
Come on.
I say it all the time. When a black woman get checked, ain't no dinner gonna be cooked.
Man can't say, hey, babe, when you
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ain't no vagina gonna be given. Kids not gonna eat. Ain't no hair getting combed. Ain't no backpack lunch getting packed when a mama's upset. That's the truth. Because you know why? We get coddled by our relationships. We don't want to grow past them. We want the same women that we knew since we was in high school to keep telling us, you wasn't wrong, girl. You ain't wrong. Instead of telling us the truth. You know what I mean? And when our man tells us the truth, because it's only so much bullshit a man can take. You know what I mean? Before whether nicely, whether calmly, or just straight out, you being a bitch. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Homegirl, bitch. But if he said, you being a bitch, it's a whole different way. Your neck, you spin, your head spinning. You know what I mean? And a lot of black women brag on being hard to handle, on being very masculine, disrespectful. What did she say? Oh, he ain't. It was never physical because I will fight him.
That's what that other girl said.
Seeing stars, okay, go ahead and fight. You know what I mean? Then when you wake up concussed, head leaking, you want to call the police. You thought you were 6'2", 215. What are you doing? You know what I mean? It's so. What did you say last week? It's so much easier to be nice and stay in your place because a black man will lay the carpet out for you, cover every petal for you. You know what I mean? It's so much. You fighting against your own dream, black women. You know what I mean? You fighting against your own dream. Then you only prolonging something that you could have had years ago had you had an attitude adjustment. You thinking, oh, I did therapy. I got my body. You know, everything is right. Like, where's my man? Because I see y'all in the comments. Dear Lord, it's me again. You know what I mean? Don't let her be. Don't let her not be the aesthetic, fake hair, fake lashes, claws. Don't let her not be that aesthetic. If she anything outside of that, no matter complexion or anything, body type, or anything, if she's anything outside of the uniform, you feel like you got slighted. Like, oh Lord, I've invested all this. You've invested all its outward appearance. You have to invest in your heart. It's really hard work because a lot of you have been really hardened. And it started with your mom pouring every day, pouring into you, pouring into your mind that you can do it without a black man. But you see where mama has come. A lot depending on drugs, substances. It's a lot of older women in their 60s, in their 50s, in their 70s. They got alcohol dependency.
Yeah.
They on meds. Mama crazy. Mama done drove herself crazy.
Crazy.
So you cannot, this is not the same thing when she chose your dad in a broken spot. She's been broken all your life. That's why you begging for an apology that may never come. You telling the story that keeps getting denied. You're telling your truth and it keeps, and it's so sickening and such a pathology in black families that your mama's sisters will cover for her. That's your mama's mama. Your grandma gonna cover for mama.
Hold up. Yeah, you come on back.
They will make a truce before the family. And we all know it's like, it's a tell as old as time. But if we keep pushing it off, like, how many dogs do it have to be in the street? You know what I mean? If you vow off black men, you got to vow off their penis too. Let's be honest. And I'll say that again. If you vow off black men, you got to vow off their penis too. Because all these problems that we have, there's no shortage of black children being born. Even though y'all, do delete a lot of them, there's no shortage. It's a baby shower every weekend.
Yeah.
There's a baby shower every weekend. And it's so immaculate, extravagant. We need the daddies, and it's just something that goes back into your psyche. Don't lay with somebody that you don't love. Don't lay with somebody that you don't trust. Don't lay with somebody that you don't respect, because that's nothing but a catastrophe for disaster. You'll never see eye to eye when it comes to parenting. He'll say, let that boy cry. No, that's my baby. You know what I mean? Like, Don't, it's a daughter. Don't let her wear that. That's too short. I don't feel comfortable. It's cute. You're never gonna be aligned on what your kid needs, and your child is gonna grow up confused. Mama said this, but daddy said that. Your child is gonna learn how to be manipulative, because when your daddy said no, your mama say yes. You guys do this to get back at each other, and the kids suffer. And you can't possibly say that you love your kid. I love my king. I love my queen. I'll move the world for them. I'll make shit shake for them. If you're not collaborating with their dad, you can't possibly love your kid. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you say. Even if you choose a crackhead, let the kids find out. Let the kid, and children. One thing about children being so innocent, being so pure, and I'm not condoning it, but you hear stories of like, my dad was a functional crackhead, and that I love my pops. You know what I mean? Or my dad was alcoholic, but he showed up, and I love my dad. You got tired of the behavior. These kids don't know the relationship with their dad, which y'all had going. Like you said, it happened before they even got here. So put that to the side, because it has nothing to do with his relationship with his children. He could be crackhead Marvin. You know what I mean? But them kids love crackhead Marvin, and crackhead Marvin don't miss a beat.
Right.
One of my friends is that we already knew in elementary, dad, a functional crackhead. What did I say about my dad? Didn't miss a beat. His daddy didn't miss a beat. He made sure that he cleaned up when it was time for his son to get, you know what I mean? Never missed a beat. So you let these kids, you let them decide that they don't want to mess with their daddies. It's not a choice that you make. When you say, when you spread eagle, whatever you're doing, when you consent, you're saying that possibly. I know it's y'all take it out of context and everything is so sexual, but when you make a commitment to lay down with somebody and you submit to a man and you carry his seed, you have to understand everything that come with that. It don't matter if you hate him in 18 years. Y'all family for life. Y'all will share the same grandchildren. You have to really think about that. It's not about how you feel. You don't want to get married. Marriage is not for everybody. Also, having children is not for everybody. Everybody shouldn't be no parent.
Everything ain't for everybody, man. I swear.
It really is disheartening for so many. Mama never the villain, but mama has villainized so many children. She has weaponized so many children. She has been, the one holding the family down, and it was never on concrete. It was on quicksand, When daddy tried to be of aid, it's like grown black children are starting to realize why daddy gone, why daddy got on, because they got on. When they became of age, they got on. So you understand the pathology that your mama is not right.
Yep. Man, come on. You deserve all of the applause for that. that's in a nutshell everything that is wrong with the exclusion of men in the mix. Like, it's crazy how men can be part of the recipe, but never get part of in the dish. Never become anything more than that. And there's a lot of psychological manipulation that's taking place with that, because it's really easy to use media to replace the narrative of men. And I think that, yeah, on one end, men have definitely been saying the same things amongst themselves out loud publicly, but there's always this default that the man must not be smart. He must not be of good character, morals. But like, when you got somebody that cares more about characteristics, then you can't even talk about morals, you know? So, which made me think about this question. So, because I see a lot of religious appropriation, a lot of prognostication, you know, and women are by far the most vocal about their spiritual connection and whatever belief system that they function in. So I was like, true or false? You can't love God and hate men at the same time. So somebody got to pick a side. We either matter or we don't.
Right.
So based on behavior, outcomes, and how openly misandrous, you know, social media has revealed women's opinions to us, it's not anything that we're doing. It's just coming out. And I've always said the only men that women can complain about are the ones that they chose to lay down with. And that's it. Because you can't blame the married men that you're not married to. You can't blame the men that didn't make your children. You can't blame the men that you ignored. And you can't blame the men that you can't attract. So the only men that you got blamed for are the men that you chose. Period, point blank. And when it comes down, so then that's when you have to back it up with data. Well, it's still a whole bunch of men running around here with somebody else's kids. Well, single fathers only make up 15% of the population. Over 15% of the black population amongst men. Over 50% of black men don't have children at all. So that's why, like, you could take the 50%, like, if I'm going to round the numbers up, you take 50% out of men out of the mix because you ain't got no kids with them. And then the other 25% of men that are married, take them out the mix because they got their kids with their wife. So, like, everybody that's left is split between the single fathers and the baby daddies. The baby daddies and the single mothers come from the same household. They're all raised by mama. And when they say it's so many of them that's locked up, it's because they're telling you the environment that they raised in and the options of men that they've had to interact with. So going back to like one of those previous videos, they know the type of men that they're reproducing with.
Right.
Whether they care about the bloodline and all of that other stuff, that's irrelevant. Because like everything still comes down to their choice. You know, if you pull up at the gas station, ain't nobody else coming to put the gas in your car. So that's what they're doing.
Right.
You know, you letting people pull up and pump and go. And you chose somebody that didn't even have no place to live in the first place.
Facts.
That already had a plan to, you know, do whatever they was going to do before they ended up back inside, if that's the case. So if your complaints about the availability or options in men that are out here, that's your fault. What you attract is your responsibility. What you connect with is solely on you. Ain't nobody screening your sexual professionals for you. That's your job. And if you're raised by promiscuous parents and you are competing with a mother that was promiscuous, that had you as a teen mother, and then you wondering why you're a teen mother. You wonder why your kid's a teen mother. You wonder why your son is in the street, because a lot of these kids get put out at age 12 when they start recognizing their mama's BS.
Mm-hmm.
They already outside, and next thing you know, they rapping about it.
Mm-hmm. Fast.
Because it's plenty. Because like with me being 46, there's plenty of music that I remember listening to, and it sounded like a movie to me, but it was somebody else's life.
Right.
It was only entertainment. But for somebody else that lived that same life and can relate to it, it's guidance.
That's the truth.
So you got to be really careful. Like what T.I. had a song with Usher, "My Life, Your Entertainment," and it's the truth, because some people do not have the ability to process or distinguish what's right and what's wrong the same way as someone that's in a resourced parent, in a resourced household with accountable parents. That's why I broke it down between sexually disciplined household versus sexually undisciplined household. Your parents are going to tell you, if they're actively involved in what you're doing, of course, that this is dangerous to consume, and here's why. This is dangerous for you to hang around. Your parents ever tell you, don't go around them Smiths? They say somebody's last name. Don't go around them. And because they're telling you that they grew up with them and they knew that their parents wasn't going to be shit. So they know their kids ain't going to be shit, which is why I say low-level learners reproduce with low-level learners and make more low-level learners. And everybody knows this, because that's why when they look at a kid and they see what they're doing, they say, oh, that behavior come from your side of the family. Come on, you act just like your daddy. You act like your daddy.
The mama be like, oh, she's smelling herself. She fast. Look how she's switching. And what her family say, girl, that's you.
That's you.
That was you.
You did it.
It's not that your kids trigger you or anything. It's not that you hate your kids. You hate the fact that your children are a mirror to you. They're your mirror. So you have to be accountable in the way. What do you always say? Women aren't responsible until they have children. Your children are going to show you.
Yep. Women are responsible for. I stand on this to this day, and anybody can get in my comments or my inbox. Women are not responsible for anything until they have children. And if they are, tell me what it is. Outside of themselves, what are women responsible for until they have children? Like, somebody tell me. I'd like to know. And on the flip side of that, men don't become men until they have responsibility for stuff that has nothing to do with kids. That's the thing that demonstrates a man being capable of. He should be worthy of being reproduced with, if he's capable of handling multiple things. Because everybody can multitask for a different set of reasons. The skills that a woman has that manages a household, depends on how she's raised or whatever, are something that adds value and enhances and makes things more efficient for the right man. Instead of saying what we bring to the table, we need to say, this is what I take off your plate.
Ooh, I like that.
Way different, because like that's me instantly saying I respect you.
Right.
I know you can do everything that I can do. But there's things that you do that you don't want to do, and you shouldn't have to do if you got the right person. So what can I take off of your plate? And women need to show up saying, what can I take off of your plate? As far as the men are concerned, because the reality is economics changes relationships, and you're seeing these women either lying all over the place. There's a male loneliness epidemic, but women are crying about not getting any men coming to these dating events. So which one is it? You know, you could do it by yourself, but then you say his daddy don't want nothing to do with. No, he don't want nothing to do with you.
Thank you.
He don't want nothing to do with you. And because the split is too large on social media for women that are having the right conversation, saying we need to do better, as a gender,
right?
Versus the ones that saying leave all these men alone. The ones that saying leave all these men alone can't even. People that complain fall into they got two things in common. They can't afford what they want, and they don't qualify for what they say that what their standard is. They don't even qualify for their own standard.
Right.
Because people that can get what they want, you know what they don't do? They don't complain. They go get it.
That's the truth.
So if you complaining about men, you your own problem. You just don't qualify. And same goes for the men. There's women out here for sure, but a lot of times people have to do the Hollywood shuffle, man. You got to move your feet. You got to find another zip code to go have the same to go create better opportunities for yourself. And men are doing that. And what a lot of women don't understand is that ain't no men from another country coming to America to marry black women.
That's the truth.
It ain't no mixed babies out in the world that come from black women. It's black men. Black men got far more options, and black women are too busy engaged in combat and conflict with the only men that make their children with them. I mean, like at some point, somebody got to put their guard down and go to therapy, man. Go fix themselves.
Literally. Because
women have cried about 4B. They say we not going to engage with men anymore. They didn't put out this narrative about the loneliness epidemic or whatever. And on top of that, STDs are rising. So like now it's time for everybody to be doing some self-work, you know? And that's why like I wanted to identify, I want to put together a segment that identifies what women collectively understand that they're not talking about, because this is a dirty secret. And everybody talks about black girls rock and women this and women that, but y'all don't even like y'all mamas because you're scared of her. You're scared to tell her to go to hell. She don't know what she's talking about.
Right. You'll cut your man out. Cut your man out. Mama you don't got no smoke for mama.
No, you ain't got no smoke for her.
Your own children in your own family, but your mama tell you where to go and what to do, you doing it.
I can see it. Like I can literally see it. And I'm thankful because, you know, I had both parents. I grew up with being able to see both sides of my family. My family got flaws too. Whose family doesn't?
Right.
But I know how much worse it could have been because I've seen people without it. There's people that didn't grow up in a 2-parent home telling people that come from a 2-parent home that 2 parents ain't necessary. That's easy to say. How can you even say that?
Right.
But that's how ignorant and anti-intellectual we have become, because people can't just accept the fact that they probably wasn't raised right.
Right.
And I'm not saying I was raised perfect. I'm not even trying to speak for everybody else in that regard. But we need to put what's good in one hand and what could be better in another. And we need to be honest about that. Because how you going to tell me a BMW ain't that good of a car if you ain't never drove a BMW?
That's the truth.
How you going to tell me what leather feel like when you've been sitting on plastic all your life?
Right.
Don't make any sense. So we got to really, really take a hard look at this, because there's just no way that we have the same dialect, communication, and understanding about the opposite gender if you're not raised with the opposite gender. Your closest proximity to the opposite gender is probably on TV and your music and whatever men that you attract, but you ain't grow up with no men mentoring your household. There just ain't no way. Everybody's not raised the same way, man. They just not, and it's clashing. And here where we are. All right, folks. Appreciate you sticking with me to the end. This has been another episode of Beyond the Algorithm. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Go get the book. And most importantly, I will see you beyond the algorithm, because that's where life actually happens.